We're here.
Are we live?
Are we
I think
on?
we're live. Can someone?
I don't think so.
Can someone check to make sure that I'm not too quiet?
It's normally a joke.
Are we on?
We're live.
Yep.
Whoa. Okay.
Sorry.
Are we on? Are we recording?
No.
So hello everyone. This is not.
Are we streaming right?
This is not the traditional kind of stream that we normally do
Are we unmuted?
because of reasons.
Can you guys hear?
Sorry, really stop.
No, I can't.
Don't worry, I have the ability to mute him.
Can you speak up? Sorry, I can't hear you.
But
Perfect.
anyways, yeah, as the title says, we are going to be talking about Descent into Avernus, our sort of not prequel. The first stream. Not the first stream. My goodness, I can't talk today.
Our first campaign.
Our first campaign
of
as a
this
group.
D&D
GU. The
Yes,
Dungeons and Dragons gaming universe.
that's specifically
I don't think
for
that
us.
works.
Because we've
What do you
tried to
mean
keep
that
it.
doesn't work? It's like the MCU.
It's a thing. It's a
Yeah.
thing.
It's a thing. We're
Yeah.
branding.
Oh, well, let's not brand us that with something that's already been branded, please.
You're right. The Dragons and Dungeons gaming universe.
The
That'll
Dungeons
work.
and Doggos gaming universe.
The Dagos.
The-
But yeah, this was our first stream.
Well,
Oh my gosh, why do I keep saying stream? This was our first campaign as a
All
group.
right.
What are you doing in there? Drugs.
Wow, okay. Is this just gonna be an ADH stream? Is that what is it?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yep. This is why I have to wrangle us in quickly.
Oh, what's it gonna be like when
Out of
I'm the
control real
DM,
fast.
guys?
Oh,
That's gonna be
chaos.
scary. Me
It's
with-
going to be chaos in a world where you don't want chaos.
Exactly. Well, I think I'll
I
allow
wish you
it.
luck.
Anyway, so I guess for those of you that might not know what Descent into Avernus is, the story is essentially that a town named Elturel gets just suddenly vanished into hell, and
And then you descend into it to
And
get
then-
it out.
yeah, and you descend into hell, into Avernus, to either, well, in hopes of saving, because like there's sort of a time limit. Was there a time limit, Sawyer?
There was, in fact, a time limit.
Nah, we had all the time in the world. Worst case scenario, El Terrell falls into the river Styx. It's fine.
If you guys had waited like another day or two, you guys would be too late.
Oh man, we were that close. Wow.
Well, yeah, remember it was like starting to dip
like
into
the bottom
Touching the water.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
We
remember
put it
that.
pretty darn close, but
But yeah. So
That's how you guys were able to get on it super easily, is because like it was less than a minute of contacting the
Mhm.
chains.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was.
So you guys didn't even need to roll to get up the chains because
We
you were
flew.
on it for less than a minute.
yeah, I'm like, and at that point I could fly. And
Yeah, I think we all flew at that point.
But anyways,
at that point, right?
so
Who's
yeah,
right?
that's the gist of Descent into Avernus, saving a city from hell.
We're
We
not gonna
successfully did that.
Yeah.
we're not gonna go into super detail because it was pointed out by Meredith that maybe spoiling the whole campaign on stream if people want to play it isn't a grand idea.
Oh yeah.
We're
Yeah,
just
it's-
gonna go over bit by bit, not bit by bit, but I guess arc by arc.
Certain
So
sections of it.
spoil it in a less spoilery way.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're not going to give details.
I
Basic
think the
gist.
important thing to note is that stuff that happened in our campaign, I mean, like, story-wise, the overarching story would stay the same. But
Right. There
there
were
are
I did a lot of
there are particular things that happened in our campaign because they were specific to our characters.
No, I think the important thing to remember in all this is that magic beans are the best.
Stop. That was such a mistake.
The
It was
beans.
not a mistake. It's the
The
next
beans.
recurring thing that will. It's like the. It's like the number 12 in Marvel. Okay, like it's the best.
The chest holds a corpse with a bag of beans in its torso, and I was like, What a weird magic item to give for my torso, but okay, I guess.
All right.
Little
So
did I know that was a mistake.
Right.
these are. Oh, I hope that that Discord's not cutting off Nipper. Is it cutting off Nipper?
Nope.
No, it's pretty
It's
well
or they're now fnippe.
though.
Fnippy.
Yes.
All right. So,
Flippy.
So
so
I guess ahead of time, we're down Brando and JJ tonight. They had stuff come up. And Merrick was played by Adrian, who you guys probably remember from the beginning of Tyranny of Dragons if you were here this long. He had to leave because of
Luca.
school stuff. He's getting closer to graduating, and so he needed time to focus on that. So
we're going to be focusing on the perspectives of Tolnak, Kalen, and Fnipper.
yeah.
Woo.
you're not getting my perspective because I was the
The
DM.
He was the voice
So-
of God.
I mean, like we'll still sort of have his perspective.
Have certain characters that are important.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go over the first
You
arc.
can be Lulu.
I could be Lulu.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over the first arc, which was the Van Thamper arc. That was you guys first arriving in Baldur's Gate.
Oh, not
and
that
then
picture.
handling
The Skuna picture.
I'm gonna have to bring
cult
it.
of the dead.
I'm gonna have to bring it out of full so I can.
Oh, spoilers! Spoilers.
Um,
Yeah.
which Tolnak wasn't actually there for all of it.
Nope.
Austin came in the middle of the camp, or not middle of the campaign.
It was like
but
session 3 or 4.
it was like 3 or 4 because I was like, I want Austin in here. So Tolnak showed up a few sessions late, but still showed up.
I was there eventually.
Hey, Kaylin, you were wearing face masks before. It was cool.
Yeah. Okay. I need to. This is. I feel so ashamed, but I have to confess this.
But you don't have to confess it if
Wait,
you don't
one
want to,
sec.
Ashley.
I can confess it. I kind of want to confess it, but at the same time, it's just sort of. So, Kaylin was created initially as sort of a joke. I made Kaylin to be like, haha, what if Kakashi from Naruto was in this game? And so that's how it started, and then it turned into not a joke. Which is a little weird, especially because like I used a lot of Kakashi's backstory for Kaylin's backstory. But yeah. He started from a joke.
So I never got to hear, apparently, we never got to hear your quote unquote real backstory, Austin. So what was Tolnak doing prior to Descent into Avernus?
Oh, right. Far back, because I don't remember how old he was. He was older. He kind of just spent most of his days wandering, because being a half-orc, he wasn't much cared for. So after wandering, trying to find his place in the world, which was why one of his fears was losing his place in the world, he met up with this group called the Guards of Honor, which were basically just a mercenary group designed to be like chivalrous and have actual honor in their jobs. And when he joined, they accepted him with open arms. He climbed the ranks, became captain of his own little group. And one of his missions was to go deal with bandits in particular, not necromancers, but good thought. So, and
My bad.
they Tolnak decided it was best to stand their grounds, and because of that, there were more that just kept piling, and he lost most of his team, and he would have died had not a specific person named Lander Dosked jumped in front of him, stopping an arrow from hitting him. He managed to escape, and with the death of like most of the group, the Guards of Honor disbanded. And then he started wandering, eventually found Torm, developed a faith for him, and yeah, that relit his fire of combat and a new code of honor. And more willingness to sacrifice himself for what his old group used to do. So that was his whole thing. And basically he was running with Rhea for a little while beforehand. Not a whole lot, but... And then Elturel fell while he was out.
Rhea was a lot of fun to play with just because she was a new character that could just be ye old fighter person who smacked thing. That was her whole shtick, was she just used the veteran stat block. And so, yeah. She was fun to mess with, just to be like, I smack!
Except for she usually didn't because we forgot to roll initiative for her.
That's true.
She just stood there. She
When
was
I
like,
remembered
you
to
got
roll
this, team.
initiative, she smacked.
And I mentioned I could have ran her for you, but
I know. And with
But
hindsight,
I didn't want it.
I could have. But
hey, it worked out.
she wasn't with you the whole campaign anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it was only for first couple sessions. So.
Yeah, I was like, I'm having a hard enough time remembering to roll initiative for Rhea. Lulu's more important.
Lulu and the baddies.
I don't want to have to tool Rhea around the whole campaign, though Rhea stays in Elturel regardless. That's her whole thing, is she just stays back in Elturel. But that's the next part. So this first part was the Van Thampers, Candlekeep, and Cult of the Dead 3.
Wait. We skipped the bathhouse.
Oh.
The
good.
best early game scene ever.
Give me a second. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
I
I don't even remember what we were actually supposed to be doing there. That's not important.
You guys
I'm
We were
sorry.
looking-
It's gonna
okay.
look.
in that it was a front for
Oh yeah, you also meant
Oh my
Right.
gosh! I just saw the picture.
Oh, by the way, all these pictures are done by Fnipper.
Courtesy
yeah,
of
all these
Flipper.
pictures are done from Fnipper's point of view.
They love to draw. So
Why don't you talk about Fnipper? We talked about Tolnak, not talk about Fnipper.
Fnipper was a gnomish druid living in the Misty Forest, and they were left by their parents at about 10 years old, and so quite literally raised by wolves. And a bear attacked their little pack when Fnipper was a little kid, and Fnipper's wolf mom got really badly injured. So, to the horror of the rest of the party, as it was relayed later, Fnipper just killed their mom and wore her pelt as a cloak for the entire campaign. And then the part of the Misty Forest that Fnipper lived in was torn down, or was destroyed. And so Fnipper had a deep hatred and fear of anything made of metal, and anything even slightly robotic. So that's Fnipper.
I
And
will
they
say,
all like to say, "Hi, I'm Fnipper."
Tolnak had no worry with you killing your mom. It was the wearing the pelt bit.
He was wearing the belt bit,
Yeah.
or after Lulu
Yes,
died,
I
which
killed
we'll
my
get
parent,
to.
and now I
That
wear
was-
their
That was
skin.
kind of Kaylin's other thing too. Is that was okay. That you got to see that every time.
I still don't see the problem, guys.
Snipper was the epitome of reduce, reuse, recycle.
I mean,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh!
why would you waste that? That was their point of view.
And Gerard, JJ's character, in
Cold.
classic JJ fashion, had zero backstory that at least I can remember.
Yeah.
He was previously in the military, and then he wasn't. So
I
there's
think,
probably more to his backstory than I remember.
I think JJ is a lot more laid back in how he plays D&D.
Yeah, I don't have access to it.
Well, he had a backstory to be here.
I mean, his backstory wasn't terribly far off from Tolnak's, just different paths that
Yeah.
led him. And his was fighting a demon and not.
Yeah, there was that. I believe that was sort of his backstory. Was he was a part of the military, and then sort of a Tolnak fashion, his unit was killed, but that was because a bone devil had appeared and attacked his unit, and Gerard narrowly survived by managing to finish off the bone devil after the rest of his unit had already died. And so when there was some inkling of a fiendish threat to Elturel or the Sword Coast, Gerard was pretty well on the ball because he had somewhat personal stakes in it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
of
vendetta.
Yeah, because of Zegdron the Bone Devil.
His
Let's
full
see.
name
Zach was
Zegdron the Shatterer.
Zach was a professor at the College of Elturel.
Yeah, he was just
just at work, and then all of a sudden, like, oh no,
oh, I'm in hell.
I'm in hell. And that was pretty much Zach through the whole campaign. Like, oh no, this thing happened.
Holy crap, Zach is old. I didn't realize how old Zach was.
How old was he?
He was 45.
Oh yeah, I remember him being.
That's pretty old for a Dragonborn.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember that.
I mean, he's 60 in Tyranny of Dragons.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was that old.
He's sort of like 50 because he was in stasis for 10
he's not
years.
50.
He was in stasis for
Like
3
years.
years, so he'd be only like
Oh. I thought he was
he'd be 57.
And then
Yeah,
Merrick.
he's around 80. He's halfway through his life.
Merrick, he's over halfway through his life.
Merrick was
The pirate.
he was a pirate. Well, yeah, he was a pirate.
And then he killed his captain, right?
I think so. I think there was something that happened with his captain. I think there was a mutiny, and his captain was killed, and because of that, he fled the ship because him and his captain were.
He was like first mate, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very close, and so he was basically the executioner of the crew. Whenever something happened out of line, the captain would go to Merrick to solve it. And so when the mutiny happened and, his captain died, Merrick saw no use staying on the ship. So Merrick left and bumped into to the group.
Look at those buns.
And look at Merrick's buns right there. Those are some buns of steel.
Yeah, so anyway, back to the bathhouse. We were looking for cultists, and everyone was just chilling, relaxing, and then
Except
for
for
some
Kaylin.
reason, he fixated on one massage room, and we were like, all right. So I think Pipper went in.
On this poor masseuse.
Yeah.
This masseuse had no idea.
Yeah, every word she said, we were like, insight check.
Didn't you guys? Wasn't someone
like,
trying to encourage Kaylin to?
Oh,
do
yeah,
it at first.
I was like, no, or Kaylin, just go lay down and get a massage. You distract her. I'll look around for like a secret door or something. And so you were like, I need for like an hour.
It was a while.
It was a while. But it was still hilarious because everyone but Kaylin had basically dropped Trow.
Yeah. You guys were the only ones that got to see, or I guess Gerard and Merrick, because Kaylin would not have looked, the ones that got to see Fnipper's pre-Kendall genitalia.
I also think Gerard was the one that noticed the imp. There was an invisible imp spying on the bathhouse for Thalamra Van Thamper. And so she was just spying on it to keep tabs on it. And I think Gerard very briefly noticed it flying away. He heard the flapping of its wings as it was taking off.
His devil senses were tingling.
Yeah. And poor JJ, prior to Descent into Avernus, JJ didn't know the difference between demons and devils. And so he chose Abyssal as a language, but Infernal is the language of the devils. Abyssal is demon language. And so we got about halfway through, and JJ was like, I didn't know there was a difference. Can I just have Infernal instead? And I was like, yeah, okay. Because your backstory was a devil.
Wouldn't have made sense for him to know.
It wouldn't have made sense for you to know Abyssal instead.
What if he learned deep speech instead?
I would still be confused.
Can you please just put deep speech in?
No.
Just you wait, Ashley. It's gonna happen.
It's also like undercommon.
Clutch moment.
Like, why did Kalen know undercommon?
Because he found a common to undercommon dictionary that it was an easy
There's no
translation.
dictionary for undercommon.
Oh no, there is. Kalen had it.
It's the Underdark. There's no
Just,
translator dictionary for the Underdark.
there
Look,
definitely is.
sometimes there are just no good enough explanations for why people know the languages that they know.
I don't even know what my language was.
You want to know the two? You want to know the two?
Dwarvish.
The two words that are in the common to undercommon dictionary: slave and not slave. That's what
slave is
Wouldn't that mean that the two words are just not slave?
Yeah, not enslaved.
I don't need your sass.
Okay, well.
Okay, so
that was the bathhouse. Kaylin was delightfully awkward in any social situation ever.
Yeah, like the whole campaign.
Like the whole campaign.
Yeah.
Anyone had to talk, Kaylin all of a sudden.
No, that didn't necessarily stop Kalen from talking.
Oh, no.
nah.
And we'll get
Ever.
to that. We'll get to that. There's art for that part.
Oh my gosh.
What, the one where he
We'll get there. We'll get
I
there.
want it all to end.
Oh, yeah.
There's art for that.
Oh no, not that one. That one. I was
The
thinking.
Archon bit?
I was thinking
No,
of
I
the,
forgot to draw Archon too, or Fnipper forgot to draw Archon.
Okay, I was thinking of the time where they were in like that ship thing, and he
the
intimidated, and he somehow intimidated the guy that they were talking to.
that was Amric.
Amber.
I remember that. I was random guy in background.
Yeah.
You were a random. You were all
That's
the
where we got
NPCs in the
Kayla.
tavern.
Okay,
You can
which
watch it
picture am
happen.
I going to?
So what happened after that? We we need to introduce the main part of the campaign.
Well, there's Skuna.
The one. No, that was at the Elson Tavern. That was before.
Right, but the Skuna art hasn't been shown.
Okay, but all that really happened there was the mega person, and I guess the bonkening started there.
There was also
Skuna.
This cat.
Hipper got super drunk.
You scared the blind chef.
Oh,
The blind pastry chef.
yeah. Okay,
Just
show that one.
scared him. Well,
Skuna?
Yes, Skuna
yeah, the
picture.
Skuna one.
Okay, give me a second.
That was where Fnipper learned for the first time what living in civilization really means.
Yeah, the chef was like, "Ah! What are you doing? Out! Out!" And you were like, "I just want a croissant."
And I rolled a nat 20 on my deck save, and so I caught the croissant before it hit the ground.
You caught the pastry.
Yeah. And we all got super drunk, and then a fight broke out. Skuna was the best bodyguard ever, and like Fnipper's best friend.
Who never talked to you.
I mean, she didn't need to. I could tell that we were friends.
Body language was enough to
Yeah.
know they were the best
Skuna was the half orc bodyguard.
Oh, I thought she was an ogre.
Or she was half ogre. Bodyguard
What?
for.
Deborah, dude, how dare you?
Oh, get wrecked, Ashley.
Kaylin
Give us
being
a
awkward
compliment.
somehow seems
Deborah,
to
dude,
fit.
putting you on
How
blast.
dare!
He knows what's up.
I am driving. I am driving over there. And I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you what for.
Yeah. Fast forward through that
Well,
dungeon.
we made a mega person with Kaylin.
What?
We made the mega person. Kaylin picked me up on his shoulders, and Kaylin took his sword and was like, and like stab, and then Fnipper just took the club over their head and was like, bonk, and it killed them. And that's when the bonkening was away.
And that was also just like, I'm just gonna keep running ahead into the pitch
Oh.
black.
And then
Oops, I broke my nose. Where are you guys? What are you doing?
I don't have dark vision.
I can't see.
I'm not-
Why don't you
Okay,
come up
I'm
with
not
another-
saying that it was a smart move. I'm just saying that's.
I'm just saying I did it every time.
I'm just saying that it's in character for Kaylin.
That's true. That's true.
9 moves out of 10 for Kaylin. It wasn't smart.
But it was in character. She's right about that.
That's right. But slobber chops.
Yeah, okay, that's
where
what-
we
yeah,
met
I was saying.
slobber
All
The
right.
one, the
You guys
only,
can
the
talk about
eighth
slobber
wonder of the world, slobber chops.
Give me a second.
When we misunderstood the rules of my ability to speak with beasts. And it broke the dungeon.
So
It's-
slobber chops is what is known as a tressum, which is basically a winged cat. And when the party had gotten to like the Van Thamper place, slobber chops is like the house pet. And they just bumped into slobber chops, and Fnipper totally befriended slobber chops, and just led the party around.
Yeah, and
I was
Fnipper
like, hey,
and
you want to
Fnipper
show
and
me
Kaylin
your
were
owner?
just
And slobber chops was just like, all right, I guess.
And I fed him.
Think like one of the fat, like a really fat cat,
With tiny little Heimlich wings.
but with little wings.
Garfield, but with matted fur and wings.
Yep.
Yes, and gray, basically.
And so spoiled. Oh.
And yeah, he basically broke that dungeon because Super was like, do you know the way around here? And I was like, if he rolls a natural 20, then sure, he'll lead you
Okay.
around and roll. Talking about slobber chops. If he rolls a natural 20 on his perception check, then sure, he'll lead you around the dungeon.
And then you rolled a natural
rolled a natural 20, and I was like, God. This is why I don't make pacts. This is also why all my rolls for the next campaign will be
not it.
done physically, so
yes.
my rolls aren't on blast for everyone.
Yeah,
And
it was pretty great. And then poor Slobber Chops, we killed its owner right in front of him.
I thought you were
And
about to say you killed Slobber Chops, and I was like,
No.
when did you kill Slobber
No.
Chops?
No.
and then so we were like, well, we kind of killed your owner. You want to come with us? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, sure, I guess.
And Kaylin was like, this is one fat cat. We need to exercise this thing.
yeah, like he was concerned for Slobber Chops' health. He was like, if we want this thing to live for like another 10 years, we're going to have to get it into shape. Go up these stairs. Work out. Let's get a regimen going.
Meanwhile, Fnipper was like, you're so pretty, and I love you, and have more meat.
Slobber Chops was grateful.
Yep. But unfortunately, we can't take tressums into hell. They have a strict no tressum policy.
I mean, you could have, but
But Slobber Chops would have
he
died
would've
so
died
freaking
very
fast. And Fnipper would have gone evil a lot faster.
Yeah.
I think Tolnak, Gerard, and Merrick were very indifferent to slobber chops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much a Kaylin Fnipper thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and then you guys had to say goodbye to Slobber Chops.
And it was very, very sad. He stayed with some tiefling lady.
Sylvira
Sometimes
was
you take care of him.
she was a tiefling wizard in Candlekeep, which the party went to find transportation to Elturel. Or as we lovingly called it, Helturel.
Yep.
There it is.
I was like, there was art of it.
It's on
so.
fire. It's just a city on fire.
But
There you
yeah,
go.
so when they,
There was a really epic description when we got down there. And, like, I wish we had been streaming because, Sawyer, you did such an awesome job at, like, setting the mood. And then that's what Fnipper dropped.
there was music and there was ambient noise of like screams and wind blowing and stuff. And I was pretty proud of that moment. Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
But also, briefly before you guys went to Elturel, you guys went and met Traxagor
And
Lulu.
oh,
Oh,
it was
wait.
like, I'm gonna miss Slobber Chops so much. How are we ever gonna find another NPC that's ever as great? enter Lulu. She's like, hold my beer.
Okay, give me a second. Cause
There's
like,
definitely art of Lulu.
yes,
If there wasn't, there'd be a problem.
there would be a big.
I think there's only like 2 pictures of Lulu though.
Lies. Fnipper definitely drew like third beat.
You
Yeah,
got
but
this,
I
go,
didn't
team.
save the ones from the actual campaign.
So Lulu was a Hollyphant, which is like a small elephant with wings. Most of the cute NPCs in this campaign was a small version, or just an animal
With wings.
With wings.
with wings.
Actually, all of the cute NPCs were that. Name a cute NPC that wasn't an
Mooncoat?
adorable. Nope. No, you think Fnipper cared about moon color? Fnipper sacrificed moon color like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that people were. I think we were sort of. Well, I know that Gerard was not happy.
Oh, Tolnak wasn't terribly happy either, but he recognized at this point that things need to be done.
Yeah, there are bigger fish to fry here.
Yeah. Because actually, I wrote in his journal. He said, "It was a good lie. I almost fell for it, but with no other choice, we set off to do so."
We're getting ahead of ourselves, though. That's
Yeah.
That's why I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
read any important details there.
But yeah, Lulu was basically our cheerleader.
Can you do the Lulu voice? I kind of miss it.
Didn't remember.
I'll trigger it. Hi, I'm Fnipper.
No.
Lulu, you're the best. I'm just gonna lay down at your feet and curl up like a little dog and sleep with it.
Okay, fine. That's okay.
No, that's Phil.
Phil was much deeper than that.
Okay. Slower.
Phil didn't have wings.
Okay, but he wasn't like adorable.
Well,
What are
his
you talking
Never mind,
about?
I take it back. I take
Snipper
it back.
loved Phil.
Let's say Phil was the best.
Yeah,
Tolnek's like, I'll
There
fight
we
you
go.
on this.
that's fair. Yeah, Phil was Tolnek's Lulu for sure.
But yeah, you guys got to Elturel and dinked around in Elturel for a bit. I'm not going to go into super detail because plot. But you guys, your first sets of plate mail came out of Elturel because you guys just looted them off of dead corpses in the courtyard of the High Hall.
Oh yeah.
For Gerard and Tolnak, you guys were just like, hey, these guys aren't using it anymore.
Yeah, I think that was like, well, this is hell. Like, we gotta do
What-
things that we might
What's
not be proud
the
of.
consequence for action? What? We're gonna go to hell?
Oh, man. But yeah, you guys eventually descended from Elturel to the surface of Avernus.
It's a lot of plot stuff for a while
Yeah,
until we got
yeah.
the
The
grinder.
ground of Elturel as well, of Avernus, is where Tolnak stopped liking Kalen for a bit. Because Kalen was the first to start getting points of exhaustion and lagging behind, which caused Tolnak to start getting points of
Kalen got like
behind.
3 points of exhaustion.
It was awful.
Because we had to walk.
Yeah, you guys had to walk to Fort Knucklebone.
Yeah,
And
I
so
forgot about that.
You guys, it was just a slog. I think Tolnak got 1. Gerard got 1 because you guys were making it with disadvantage because you were in heavy armor.
Yeah.
And then Kalen got 3.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Meanwhile, Fnipper and Merrick were like, do 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 do.
I mean, it certainly wasn't pleasant for you
Well,
guys
yeah.
either. But
I mean, but they made their checks, so that was the important
Well,
thing.
and
that
something.
was also because like you just totally were like, this number looks good and this stat, boom.
No,
and so, like,
I
your
didn't.
con was high.
No, I was telling Ashley, I didn't know that when you roll, you can pick which stat it goes through. I thought roll number 1 had to be strength. Roll number 2 had to be dex. And so I was talking to Ashley about that. I'm like, I'm a druid, and my wisdom was my second lowest stat.
But your strength was 17.
But yeah, I was
Yeah.
ripped.
But yeah.
Sniffer was
Did it?
yeah.
Yeah, it was. As for me, the issue with Kalen wasn't the allocation of stats. It was not leveling him properly. I mean, like it wasn't like I was trying to avoid min-maxing, but at the same time, I was trying to. Like, I thought that I was doing the right thing with how I was choosing spells and that sort of thing, but it just wasn't working
I'm
out.
not sure it's necessarily you leveled him wrong. It's you picked a weak subclass.
I mean, you picked a weak subclass and you tried to focus on it when that's not how you play that subclass.
Yeah. Eldritch Knight isn't spellcasting with sword, it's sword with spellcasting.
Bladesinger Wizard is
It's
Magic
spellcasting.
Sure, but Bladesinger Wizard wasn't even out.
It was. It was in
was.
Sword Coast.
No one told
We
me.
didn't have it in Roll20 though.
Bladesinger was republished in Tasha's, but it was originally released in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide.
But you had to be an elf. before
And
talking.
you could have lifted that restriction if
Yeah, I would have lifted
it
that.
was kind.
Sorry, was kind.
But I mean, it's
He gave
just
us so many
it
beans.
is what it is. Kalen turned out all right. He only died once. We'll get to that.
Okay. Listen.
I
Did you
guess
die, though?
one thing that would have also affected Kalen is you wouldn't have had the ability to wear heavier armor. Because with Bladesinger, I think you can only wear leather armor.
Yeah,
Only
sure.
light.
The heavier armor, though, I didn't feel like was the issue. It was the fact that I wasn't really rolling very well in terms of hitting people.
Well, sure. Like you did pretty much the exact opposite of what you do in this campaign, where you did quantity over quality. You attacked like by the end of the campaign, you were attacking like 5 times a turn.
Well, that was
Because
because I was hasted.
Well, that and you had an offhand weapon and all that jazz. Like, and in this campaign, you're attacking once per turn, but you're hitting for 40 damage at a time.
Just very, very different from what you're doing.
Whereas at the end of Descent into Avernus, you were attacking like 5 times a turn and dealing like 35. But that's also just a fact of you didn't have Sharpshooter as Kalen.
Yeah. Be weird if you did.
Isn't there like a version of that for fighters?
Heavy
There's Great Weapon Master.
Yeah, great weapon.
But that's the only other thing, and that would require a two-handed
That requires,
weapon.
yeah, it requires a 2-handed weapon.
Or a weapon you can wield two-handed, so like
Yeah.
you wouldn't have your offhand attack essentially.
Did
Yeah.
we? So we went and did things. Did
Yes, you guys went and got the Demon Grinder.
Robots.
Or you guys got the
And we didn't get the Demon Grinder yet.
Tormentor.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got
yeah.
Tormentor and a Devil's Ride.
Even worse.
Which are basically like, think Mad Max. That's what they got. It was a super metal, pimped out automobile war machine, basically.
Here we go.
And as you guys were leaving Fort Knucklebone, you got jumped by Ragadraga and his crew of wereboars, or just were animals. There were were-rats and were-boars and stuff, but they got absolutely nuked by the chase rules, because the way the chase rules work is that there's random events that can happen every turn in the chase. And so, like, they just got the flame tornado, like, 3 times, and it just killed everyone on the Demon Grinder because they cooked to death and failed their deck saves.
Mhm.
So they, like, left with the Tormentor and the Devil's Ride and immediately got an upgrade to a Demon Grinder.
Yep.
And we kept the Devil's Ride.
We
You
did.
did keep the
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Oh,
unfortunately,
unfortunately.
we didn't do that.
But yeah, robot. Not a fan.
Yeah, Fnipper was not a fan. Oh, yeah.
Tolnek had to use calm emotions on me in order to even get me into the demon or the mad whatever tormentor.
A game that's basically Mad Max. Yeah, that was the chase rules in Descent into Avernus. It just basically becomes Mad Max. Because just the way that the chasing works, because the Demon Grinder has, as the picture has, giant jaws on the front of it. There's a wrecking ball on the back. There's 2 javelin launchers on the sides. It's super metal,
Oh,
and I think
felt so cool. That like
another fun part was you guys versus what was her name?
Oh, I don't know. Smiler's girlfriend.
Yeah, Farinir or something, where it was Demon Grinder versus Demon Grinder. That was a lot of fun. We'll get
Yeah,
to
until
that.
there was a giant wall in our way and we crashed.
Yeah, it almost got real bad if Zach had failed that charisma save. He would have gotten Kolfed.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
That's bad.
because she was casting plane shift. And she would have just plane shifted him back to the material plane.
Oh, and he never would have come back.
No, he wouldn't have been able to come back. Zach would have effectively been written out of the campaign.
Yeah.
But he was also like, here, have some chain lightning. And so she was like, hey, stop that.
I wink.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
the weekend.
After you guys got the Demon Grinder, you went to Haruman's Hill.
Oh, yeah.
That's where everything went wrong.
Ugh.
I don't know what you're talking about. It was fine. Like, it was a little weird. The trees didn't look like trees.
Lulu got taken away there.
Lulu did get taken away. I was not a fan of that.
Give me a second. I'm trying to.
There is a Harmon's Hell picture.
Yeah, you were super upset with Kaylin for a while.
Oh, I mean, Fnipper was super upset with Kaylin a lot.
Most of the campaign, I feel like.
Well, no, we were like the best of friends. when Slobberchops was around, but I feel like we really only bonded because of Slobberchops.
I think it was hell is when everything went downhill between you two.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it just because you guys. I feel the campaign probably would have gone differently if I hadn't messed with the alignment changing rules.
Oh, but that was an awesome part of
but
it.
yeah, I
But
feel like
what happened was the way that the module writes it is that if you fail that save
One
once,
time?
you become lawful evil.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm glad that wasn't
Yeah,
the case.
so
I liked it being
and
more gradual.
3 of you failed it as soon as you got to
Yeah,
Elturel.
you're like,
And so I was just like, oh my gosh.
what
yeah.
do we do?
Over half the party is evil now.
Yeah, no, I
Gerard
liked it
and
being more
Tomac.
gradual.
Gerard and Tolnak were the only ones who made the save.
But they were also the
Realistically,
only
between
good.
the two of us, we're the only two who couldn't fail.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
I
yeah.
thought good characters could fail.
I mean, the only reason
They
I
could,
couldn't.
Gerard and Tolnak were decent at the save.
I
Oh,
think in the end, if I was next to Gerard, I had a plus 15 to the save.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay, yeah, you couldn't have failed.
Because Gerard had the crazy paladin saving throw buff aura,
Yeah.
and the rest of you had not real great wisdom saves.
Oh, that's a good question. How did we play an evil character?
We'll get to that.
Very differently for all of us.
I think the important distinction is that whenever you think evil character, half the time you're thinking of chaotic evil, which most of the time people just read as chaotic stupid.
Yeah, it wasn't like
Where-
mustache twirling,
Yeah, where you
tressum petting.
yeah, like chaotic evil is I do evil thing because I want to be a jerk. Whereas the save was explicitly to become lawful evil, where lawful evil is way easier to play than chaotic evil, because at least lawful evil realizes
That,
that
it needs
a
other
party
people.
is necessary to get to their end goal.
Yeah. And I
Makes
think
it more
another
difficult.
thing, I think something that we did, like even though we played
Well-
it differently, I
Yeah.
think that we all ended up exaggerating our negative traits.
Yeah, I
That
think we all
was-
kind of looked at like what was
That
wrong
was a
with our
big
character.
part. Was you guys all really it rather than working as a party, you became more selfish.
Yeah,
You were more concerned with what you wanted and the lengths to which you were willing to go to get it.
but that is yet to come.
I'll be honest, I think Merrick played it the best.
Oh yeah,
But we'll get to that.
oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
At this point, the way I had changed it was a 5-fail system where if you failed to save, it counted as 1. If you rolled a natural 1, it counted as 2.
Basically, death saves.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the DC got higher the more you failed, right?
The DC got higher the more you fail. And what tipped Merrick over was he was attuned to an evil artifact.
Oh,
And
that's
so
right.
His natural fails became 2, and his natural ones would have become 3 because he was attuned to an evil artifact. Anyways, that's getting ahead of ourselves.
Harmon's Hill.
Harmon's Hill, traumatic stuff happened for Gerard, Tolnak, and Kaelin. Basically, it was a bunch of like iron trees
Yeah.
that a few people from their past were just pinned on, sort of like Dead by Daylight meat hook style. They were hooked onto it and crying out for help and stuff, even though it literally did nothing.
Yeah.
It was simply there to mess with your heads. And then Haruman showed up at some point. I think it was because Tolnak actually succeeded at getting what was your lander?
Lander. Me and Gerard pulled Lander off successfully.
Yeah.
You got lander off of the hook, and that called Haruman to the hill. And so then you fought Haruman, and I believe Haruman had the battle standard of Gerard's old troop.
You
Yeah.
also had mine because I remember I stole it back.
Right, you
He
got yours.
targeted me.
Gerard
couldn't
didn't get his
Yeah.
in time.
And then Kaylin was supposed to be watching Lulu.
But Kaelin was traumatized, as rightfully so.
Yeah, because
So-
he saw people who had essentially died because of man.
It was people from your backstory
Yeah.
who died.
People from my
You
backstory.
think I
who died.
care about emotional connection? You let Lulu go.
Well,
So as you can
and I
see,
don't know. I don't.
giant insect came up and swept Lulu up.
Yeah.
They're called hell wasps, and so if you really want a nightmare image, it's a 10-foot tall wasp that just came and picked Lulu up and took Lulu back to no. Took Lulu back to the nest, where you guys are like, all right, well, let's go save Lulu.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys found Zach.
Well,
Yep.
real quick question about Haramon's Hill. I guess for Tolnak. What was Tolnak's idea of like how Lander came to be there?
I mean, his reason for being there, he didn't think why he was there. But once he basically here, I'll read his little section before the Hell Wasp bit. Haramon's Hill, so far, has got to be the worst place in Avernus. For Lander to be there, this place is truly wicked. But some good came of it. My standard, I got it back and it regrounded me. I had so much faith in Torm, I had forgotten what I was a warrior before I found him. And so he just basically, now seeing Lander in Hell, my faith in Torm was shaking. If Lander ends up at Hell for sacrificing himself to save me, and Torm is all about that, well, I mean, what am I going to come with? What is my sacrifice going to bring?
Okay. Yeah.
So he was conflicted of just like, if sacrifice brings me to Hell, then what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point in doing the heroic thing if it gets me evil end game?
Yeah, so his faith was faltering there, and then the nest happened, and then that's where it broke for the first time.
Okay. See,
I think that was a nice thing that Tolnak did, was the others were traumatized. Tolnak was changed. Because after the Hell Wasp nest, Kalen was just sort of fine. Kalen's obviously
he was sensitive. He
still,
went to check on Tolnak.
He was still messed up a little bit, but after Lulu was like, "It's fine, I don't blame you. Stuff was crazy." Kalen was more willing to move on past it. Gerard moved past it pretty easily, but Tolnak was the one who got hit the hardest by it.
And Tolnak, when I made him to be essentially Reinhardt. I am honorable, I am justice, I am this guy. I fully made him to be the guy who I'm ignore every devil deal that pops up. I'm ignoring it all.
Okay.
And Haramon's Hill happened to be more complicated.
Well, so just as a heads up on like what Kalen's thought process was I mean, like, it wasn't over. He's just sort of, in terms of like past trauma, he started out not really wanting to share it with anyone, and so just sort of was like, okay, I'm just gonna move on.
Shield therapy sessions.
Oh my god.
Gosh, the therapy session.
Trapped a demon in a shield, and who does Caitlin choose as his therapist?
Gargoth.
Gargoth. What was his name? Gargoth. Oh, just Gargoth.
Lord.
Yeah, it was technically called the
Hidden
Shield
Lord.
of the Hidden Lord.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And you guys like refused to use it, and it was super rad.
Yeah,
That thing was bigger than I am.
The
I
shield of
couldn't use
Gargoth.
it.
It was just a shield.
Yeah, you
I'm
use it.
tiny.
Oh, I mean, it was made of metal, so you could.
Oh, it was made of metal. You couldn't have used it anyways.
But like, it was a rad.
I
shield,
weighed
man.
30 pounds. That thing probably weighed more than I did.
Yeah, but you had a 17 strength.
Okay, yeah.
You carried a chest that was 200 pounds.
I did.
You were actually you were as strong as Tolnak.
Oh man, that shield is too heavy for my 30-pound form. Carries a 210-pound chest out of a dungeon.
Yeah.
I like to think that it's just like, how are we going to carry this out of here? Nipper just walked up and like flexed, and like their shirt is ripped off. And they just picked up the chest and.
It would be like in Ghost of Saltmarsh when we were like, how are we going to carry these casks of brandy? And Frank was like, I got to turn into an ape. But Fnipper was just like, nah, I got this.
But yeah, you guys went into the Hellwasp Nest where you found Zach, which was Brando's character.
He's just stuck in the wall.
Yeah, he was out on Avernus searching for ways to get Elturel out of Hell because it was his home, and also got captured by the Hellwasps and stuck to the wall. And so when the party first arrived, he was just sort of straight chilling there, and then the party walked up to try and get him out, and he just misty stepped out of his bonds because he could finally see where he was going. The problem was he couldn't see around him. Dragonborn don't have dark vision, and so he couldn't see anywhere to misty step to. But once you guys walked in with a torch, he was like, yes!
No, not a torch. A flaming gnome.
Yeah.
We never used a torch the entire campaign.
It was hilarious. Fnipper always... What was the spell?
Produce flame.
Produce flame. Fnipper always produced flame on their hair. And so it's basically just this... like... Because...
Oh, is my hair out?
Whoa, is my hair out?
like... I think what added to the hilarity was the picture that Sawyer had found for you, Meredith, that he was asked, like, is this okay?
Yeah.
And it was basically hair that looked like... It looked like a troll doll. It looked like a fantasy troll doll. And so just imagine, like, a troll doll with its hair on fire. It was just hilarious.
And interesting bit about Tolmac, he was terrified of Fnipper every time they used that, because he was scared of burning alive.
Wait, that's great. I had no idea about that until now. Hey, remember the time that I produced flame on my hair and then we walked into a room full of flammable gas?
Oh my gosh. You guys are so... I was a generous DM, and I will flex that, because that dungeon should have exploded and you all should have died.
That's
because the module thing, if any flame is lit in here,
it was
the room explodes.
Doesn't count.
And so I was just like, I don't want to TPK the party in session 3.
Tolnek wasn't even there yet, I don't think.
It wasn't.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so not always the wisest.
What a start to D&D that would have been for you. Oh yeah, you guys got TPK in session 3.
If only Snipper had higher wisdom.
Oh man.
But yeah, you guys fought your way through the Hellwasp Nest and rescued.
They fought their way through the Hellwasp.
Yeah.
Oh,
we had to
Give me a second. I'll find it.
Don't switch it yet.
Don't switch it yet.
Oh, okay.
Find it.
The way the Hellwasp Nest was structured is it's structured in levels, but these levels are connected by just hollow tubes because wasps can fly. Wasps don't need to walk around their nest. So whenever they needed to go from level to level, they just flew up the level. For the party, though, that meant that they had to climb up these chutes.
It was basically like elevator shafts.
Correct. And so, like, Zach pretty easily did it. I think Kaylin...
I think he ended up having to misty step.
Kaylin had spider walk.
Yeah.
And so Kaylin could just walk up and then had the rope for the rest of you to be climbing up. However, poor freaking Tolnak could not make these saves to save his life, and so he just fell all the way down. He fell like 20 feet down.
And then 100 feet.
Yes.
Yeah, so he fell the 20 feet down past the first level, and then 100 feet down to the surface of Avernus, where, of course, he took like 12d6 damage from that.
At like level 4.
It was level...
We were not very high.
8?
It was not that.
It was
I think it was level 5. No, wait, no, it was level 8. It was level 7 going into level 8. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Because your next level was Warlock.
Okay.
That was what it was.
Because I died, effectively.
Yeah, you were knocked to 0, and while you were teetering on that line, Tolnak was sort of confronted or greeted by a pit fiend known as Dramsis, who was like, hey, I can see you're doing stuff here in Avernus. You're making interesting impacts. I can see that you're going to have an interesting impact. I can stabilize you right now. I can save your life and give you some power. However, in classic devil fashion, when the time comes, your soul is mine.
There we go.
And so, after the interesting effects of Haruman's Hill, I almost called Tolnak Torm. Tolnak was
Tornak.
like,
Not Torm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and talk about what pushed you to say yes? Because I'll be honest, I still expected you to say no.
Here, I'll go ahead and read kind of his bit. First of all, falling that far, not pleasant, but the fall allowed me to meet someone. So it brings me to problem number 2, where as I see it, a new opportunity. Dramses. This pit fiend gave me an offer, my life and power in exchange for my soul. Now seeing Lander in hell in this fall, my faith in Torm was shaken. If Lander ends up in hell for sacrificing himself to save me, Torm is all about that, well, I might as well get something out of it if I'm going to come back here in death anyways. So he was just like, Lander's here, and if I'm going to end up here, I might as well get something. And that was basically his thing, is like, I'm dying here, I don't want to die here, but if I'm going to have to come back here, I want something in exchange.
I thought that was fun to mess with, and I think that I didn't have the idea to mess with the whole party until after that, because I was just like, it'd be fun to just have like a demon who appealed to everyone's
Oh my
fault.
goodness.
I shift around the dreams.
And so, yeah, Tolnak accepted the deal, and so Tolnak's next level was in Warlock. He made a Warlock deal with the Fiend. He got the Fiend pact. And so, after you guys rescued Lulu, and you guys left for a much-needed, light-hearted reprieve from everything else, Mahadi showed up. It was the Wandering Emporium.
Oh.
Your first experience with the Wandering Emporium
Chef's
happened
kiss.
right after the Hell Wasp Nest. So that was a lot of fun. It was a little. It's basically like the marketplace in the campaign. What?
Where did we get the first bag of beans?
You got it from the crypt.
Nope, that was the last.
second one.
You had
No,
10
no.
You guys got it from
The dungeon.
Crypt.
Oh,
Oh, that
back
crypt.
in
Back in Baldur's Gate. You guys had
that long.
You guys
We
had
still-
opened a sarcophagus.
Oh,
And,
because Gerard took them.
yes, and you guys had detected magic, and there was something in the chest cavity of the body, and so you guys were like, "Well, let's just take the bag of beans. Why not?"
Oh, I see.
And so, yeah.
Sorry.
And so the Wandering Emporium is like the marketplace for the campaign. There's a smith, and there's a barber, and there's basically FedEx shows up.
Oh, you forgot the best part about Mahadi.
Uh,
His
don't-
hands were backwards.
You're gonna say Mahadi with a body, and I was like, Ashley,
oh,
we'll
you
drive
said
that
it.
car.
You said
Yeah.
it, not
Body.
me. You said it, not me.
Hey, Fnipper doesn't care, but yeah.
Yeah, when they got there, Mahadi's hands were backwards because Mahadi. I'm not going to say that. That's a spoiler.
His hands are backwards.
Yeah, his hands are backwards. I won't say why.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I would like to say that the best part about the Wandering Emporium was Joffrey.
Was the
Oh
food.
my gosh.
Was Joffrey.
I love the dream therapy I got.
And,
Yeah,
Bahamut.
so the thing with Avernus is because it's a terrible place. It's hell. Like your rations taste like ash. Your water tastes like spoiled milk. Just everything is terrible. But Mahadi's restaurant, everything tastes normal. And so, but the problem is it runs on soul coin currency rather than actual gold.
That's what I pickpocketed Kaylin for the bag of holding, wasn't it?
Yep. Soul coins are basically gold still has worth, and I was talking about this with my dad. Gold has worth in the Nine Hells, but
Not as much as soul coins.
soul coins are to hell as Bitcoin is to us.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal to have a soul coin. And so soul coins are like the fuel for the infernal war machines, their demon grinder. It allowed them to make bargains and stuff, and it was the currency that Mahadi's restaurant dealt in. And then there was some extra included stuff. You could have a massage, you could have a bath, but Mahadi also did dream therapy, where Tolnak was like, you know what? I just had a really traumatizing time at Harlemon's Hill in the Hell Wasp Nest. I'll get some pimpin' dream therapy. And so Mahadi just brought him to the back and put some VR goggles on him and helped him relive everything terrible that happened to him. But
It was great.
In the end, it was Landry, grabbed him and was like, hey, man, this isn't your fault. What happened here was out of your hands. And so Tolnak sort of realized, oh, bummer, what I did was probably a mistake. But Mahadi was like, don't sweat it. It'll be okay.
I have a little bit here. Mahadi was surprisingly helpful in figuring out my questions. When he offered the discount on the dream therapy, I was sure bad would come from it. But it wasn't like that. He saw into my past with the Guards of Honor. We relived Lander's sacrifice in the memory of not so long ago on the hill. Mahadi offered words of comfort, though. He suggested that I keep faith, but draw power from this patron of mine. As Mahadi knows, he's quite powerful. They lost the Guards of Honor. I'm not going to lose this group. Not as long as I'm still standing.
I'm still standing.
Aww.
Oh.
Stop.
Start with that.
Oh wait, no, this isn't when I pickpocketed Kaylin. This is when I pickpocketed Gerard for the bag of beans, wasn't it? Because that's when we got
I think so.
Bill was the second time you guys
the
went to
second time we were
London.
there. Okay, so this is the time I pickpocketed. I did a lot of pickpocketing.
There was a lot of pickpocketing from
Yes,
Sniffer.
you guys visited Mahadi and you guys met Joffrey, who was a gnomish sort of. He was the big shopkeep that the party handled with a lot in Avernus.
That's where we got the short swords.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but not yet.
Not yet.
The fart swords and Momnir and all that happened the second time you guys went to the Wandering Emporium.
Man, I forgot about the number of weapons that talked to us.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, well that's because Joffrey was weird. Joffrey was insane, yo.
Like, most of the interesting stuff we got talked to us.
Yeah, the Demon Slayer helm and the fart sword.
Doom
Music, yeah. It was a super timid helmet. But whenever it engaged in battle against a demon or a devil, heavy metal played.
That's right.
And it gave you advantage on frighten effects and spell or magical saving throws inflicted on you from demons or devils. Unfortunately, the party was pretty well attuned out, and nobody really attuned to it. I think Gerard attuned to it for a bit.
Gerard attuned to it, but like most of the bonuses it gave, he already had. So
Yeah.
So then he just kept it for the music.
But yeah, I think he still wore it.
yeah, he
But he
wore
was
it.
not
He
attuned
wore it.
to
He just
it.
had it for the music.
Um,
This is when I got the human flesh paper.
Ugh.
yes.
Because I was like, I'm looking for paper in there. Like, we don't have that. We have human flesh.
Yeah, the Amnesu.
Vellum made from human skin.
Alright, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Oh, and
good enough.
the flaming salamanders that were just like, yes.
Oh yeah, that's the only word in common they knew.
Yeah, it was the only word they knew.
It drove
So, yeah,
Kalen nuts. He was like,
You guys messed around Mahadi's place for a minute, and then what happened next? Next was
We got word to
the
go to
Demon
Archon.
Zapper. No, it was the
That
Demon
was the
Zapper.
second time.
Um,
Because then
Ber-
Kaylin go to
Bernie.
get a haircut.
no, that was the second time as well.
Oh.
Um,
What happened the second time?
yeah, Bernie had talked about Archon briefly, just being like, "Hey, watch out for this guy. He's a danger."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
But
that
the
was
big
my-
stuff
That was
was-
my,
yeah.
that was Kalen's haircut.
I know that.
uh,
But to look out.
all
for
the
it.
crazy stuff that happened in the Wandering Emporium
Happened the second time.
happened the second time.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the haircut
Yeah.
happened first for Kalen, then
Yeah,
because
Kalen's haircut happened first.
Right. Yes.
Because
Kalen
that
was the
was
one with
why
the warning,
me,
but
Tolnak,
Gerard
Snipper,
and
and Merrick were eating at the
yes.
Mahadi's restaurant.
With our
And
stolen
then-
soul coins.
And then Gerard and Tolnak were the ones that told Bernie the second time that they had just dealt with Archon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kalen couldn't do it because at that point he was lawful
Yeah,
evil,
we'll get to that.
and Bernie wouldn't let him in.
So at this, after that, you guys went to the Demon Zapper because you guys thought that sounds lit.
Let's go zap some demons.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it
so
was also
along-
because we didn't want to deal with devils, right?
Well, that was the path of the devils. The other path was the path of the demons.
Oh, that's right. We
That,
didn't want to
that
deal
was
with
the,
the demons.
the
That's right.
spawning tree.
There's nothing for the demon zapper. There should have been moon color.
No worries.
Long series of fetch quests later, the party gets a hold of an orb of dragonkind, which is a legendary artifact that basically allows you to command dragons within a certain radius. And so the party went up north in Avernus, and I should have left the map up too, so that
Oh well.
we could see the amazing map that Wizards did for this campaign. You guys went and handled with Archon, which, for those of you that don't know, is actually a player character from Critical Role, who very briefly showed up in like the final 3 episodes of Campaign 1. But he has the hand of Vecna, and which basically requires him to do evil acts, so it doesn't kill him. And
But
so
she's evil already, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
right, and so the party, in order to have a conversation with him, that was what it was. He had the vial of Tiamat's
Yeah.
blood that you guys needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys traded the orb of dragonkind to have an audience with him. And then he said, I require the sacrifice of a good aligned creature in order to, or a creature of pure good, to combat the effects of the hand. And in return, he would give them the vial of blood that they needed.
Meanwhile, Fnipper stands in front of Lulu.
And he said that, I hear that the Demon Zapper is inhabited by a unicorn, which is a celestial, so obviously is a creature of pure good, as was Lulu. But of course, the party's like, screw that, we ain't giving you Lulu. Lulu's not going to die on our watch.
I don't even think we had the discussion, did we? About
He had a thought about it, but then it hit him. He was like, "Nah, if we killed Lulu, Fnipper would be lost, and then the rest of us would be lost because, she's kind of the one guiding us and all."
Keeping it together.
we can't let anything happen to Lulu.
Yeah, Kaylin was like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm not giving up Lulu.
So we get moon color.
Ooh, one thing that did happen between the fetch quests and Archon was all of you getting your demonic dreams.
Oh yeah. Our deals.
So yeah, I guess after getting the Orb of Dragonkind, Merrick flipped to evil.
Yeah, and so did Kaylin.
And Kaylin also flipped to evil. You started to go evil. You didn't actually fail all the checks to become
not
evil.
until after the big scene.
Well, you had said that you wanted to start becoming evil, but you hadn't failed the checks to automatically
Oh,
become lawful evil. And so the parties, everyone got visited by their own personal demons. Tolnak just had like a brief catch-up with Dramsis. And Gerard was visited by Zegdron, who was the devil that killed
His unit.
And which was basically Zegdron being like, hey, I can sense you here in Avernus. I'm going to find you, and we're going to fight. This time,
fight.
Mano y mano, one-on-one to the death type thing. Merrick was
offered great a
I
sword.
forgot the demon's name, but yeah, he was offered a super epic sword, and when Merrick died, he would come back to fight alongside the big devil in the blood war, which is the war between demons and devils.
Basically, had to go back to being another executioner, right?
Yeah, but it was also just hey, you can just fight for the rest of time and eternity.
Yeah.
It's just like, if all you want to do is fight and spill blood, this is the place to do it.
Surprisingly, he said no.
He did shockingly say no. I expected him to say yes, and he didn't, which was sad because it was a super epic sword.
That's okay. Better things were coming. But that's
Fnipper was visited by Fierna from
a sexy lady.
the sexy succubus
Oh,
lady.
she was actually they were actually visited by Fiona?
I believe so. I think
Yeah.
it was Fierna.
And they were like, "Hey,
Fiona is an archdevil. That's wild.
Yeah, who is the archdevil, or one of the archdevils of the fourth layer of the Nine Hells, known as Phlegethos, which is sort of the gluttony, lustful, greedy layer.
It is the
It's
first
the
thing you think of when you think of hell.
it's the Las Vegas Strip in
It
hell.
is fire, but sin.
And so, of course, Fnipper, being like, I just want to taste food again, was like, yes, please, sign me up.
literally all she had offered was that my food wouldn't taste like ash."
Yeah, I think she was willing to offer more, but then you're just like, can you make my food not taste like ash anymore? And she was like,
Oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, "And I'm gonna need a forest." And she's like, "Poof, there are trees."
Okay, there you go. And I guess here's slobber chops.
And I was like, "And I want my tressum here." And she's like, "You want your tressum in hell?" "Yeah." "Okay."
Fierna was like, score. This was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Throw in a Klondike bar and I'm in.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And Kaelin was visited by Sikars, who was basically like, I want you to surprise me. I've seen the future, and I've seen that you kill me. And I want you to surprise me about it. And he's like, you're going to fight a creature known as Qualgeth today. And, Kaelin didn't believe him initially. Kaelin was like, you can't see the future. Nobody can see the future.
Well,
It was like,
and he
fine. You're going to fight a creature known as a Qualgeth today.
Well, the other thing
Call
was
me
that
back when you believe me.
the other thing was that like it was hell, and in the dream, there was the Sikars was looking out at hell, and
Correct.
so Kaelin just sort of assumed that, oh, this is like a demon or a devil. I'm not gonna trust this thing. So I'm not gonna believe anything that you say, because why am I going to trust something that probably means me harm? Like, yeah, no.
I mean, he wouldn't have.
And that's okay. We'll get to that.
And
And Zach was like
yeah,
promised arcane knowledge.
Zach was visited by Turnazin the Arcane Keeper, who was a sort of an underling of Mephistopheles, who is the big lore keeper of the Nine Hells. I was just like, hey, if you kill Sikars, I will give you magical powers, because Sikars was edging in on Turnazin's territory in Avernus, and he wasn't a fan of that, and so he wanted Sikars dealt with. That was another thing I really wanted Adrian to take the pact about. Was his devil had said, yeah, I'll give you this epic sword and you can fight with me for eternity, but I need you to kill Dramzis or Dramzis' champion.
Yeah. So he would have had to kill Tolnak.
So he would have had to either fight Dramzis, a pit fiend, which is CR18, or Tolnak.
But he was also evil at the time, so he totally would have killed Tolnak.
He had his own goals, and he had the Orb of Dragonkind. So yeah, he had his own goals that he was trying to make.
But with Zach, my favorite part of that dream was that he was like, I'm a smart dude. I mean, I would look at this contract and be like, looking for any fine print, right? And so he was like, make an investigation check.
Investigation check. Roll a 3. And so I was like, I don't know, man. The promise of arcane knowledge sounds pretty dope to you. So he was like, all right. And he signed it and totally missed the part where it's just like, oh, yeah, and your soul is mine when you die.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. Never mind.
So, yeah, he's still locked in that.
Yeah,
When Zach dies, he goes to the Nine Hells.
Tolnak's bit.
Is he freed?
Yeah.
That was kind of...
His dream was with Dramzis basically catching up, and that was the dream that Tolnak regained faith, because Dramzis offered a way out. Because Tolnak was like, "Oh, is that a good idea?"
Okay.
and Dramsus offered a way out. And basically was just like, yeah, your soul's back if I get to become the Archdevil of Avernus.
If you kill, or
That's okay.
I know your goal here is to remove Zariel from rule, and so if you help me supplant her as the Archdevil Avernus, I will free you from your pact. Your soul will be yours again, but I need your help becoming the Archdevil.
Yeah, and this is where Tolnak was like, oh, it all clicked. Torm knew a power vacuum would exist once we got rid of Zariel, and he knew Landa was the best way to get me to go towards Dramsus. And that's where he was like, oh, maybe this wasn't, like, this was all had a big plan in the end. So.
But yeah, and then so the party got to Archon and realized they needed moon color. They had 3 days to do it, or Archon wouldn't allow it. And so
He specifically said he would hunt us down and kill us all.
Yeah.
yeah.
Even if you leave the plane, I'll find you.
That's right, because what needed to happen was Archon handed them the vial of blood, so that the Titan could give you his blood to free the Tao, so you could get moon color.
Yeah.
And so he was basically paying them ahead of time. It was like, hey, if I don't receive my payment in the next 3 days, I'm hunting you down and killing you.
Yeah.
And so the party rushed back and forth, but on their way there, they fought the Qualgeth, which was a home-brewed giant purple worm. And so that sort of confirmed to Kaelin that maybe Sikaris wasn't lying.
Well, it was that, but also, I think this was definitely the turning point, the negative turning point for Kaelin, because he felt like he played into Sikaris' hands, and he doesn't like getting manipulated. Like in his past, he had sort of been manipulated to kill the people that he did. So to have that happen again, where he's getting manipulated into a situation, I think that this was just sort of the tipping point for him, where he's like, what's the point of doing all of this? Like, why? Yeah, it was not a great moment for him.
I'll be honest, I still don't 100% understand why Kaelin thought that, but
He did.
But okay.
Well,
just from like Sikaris wasn't trying to get to play in his hand. Sikaris was just like, I've legit seen the future. This is what happens. He told you the truth, and Kaelin kind of just skewed it.
Well, I mean, that's how people do it.
From Kaelin's point of view, Kaelin was worried that they were going to be cheated by this devil person.
It's like Orpheus.
But Sikaris was just like, yeah, no, I'm absolutely telling you the truth. This is what's going to happen. But Kaelin was still convinced that there was some underlying thing happening. And Dramsus is just like, whatever. Not Dramsus, Sikaris.
Get moon color.
Yeah, get moon color.
I lied to everybody and said, "Oh yeah, moon color's totally okay with being sacrificed." I already asked him.
Yeah.
And I rolled like a 19.
You rolled a crazy deception check.
Yeah, and so everyone believed me but Tolnak.
Because Tolnak was insane.
Tolnak had really good insight and perception.
Yeah. And so
Only had higher
you get to Archon, the party finds out that Finniper lied. Because Mukiller was like, I mean, I don't want to die, but, if it's for the greater good, okay, I guess. So they sacrifice Mooncolor.
Gerard was very upset.
Gerard was very triggered.
I had that written down. Gerard was awfully upset about it.
He yelled at me.
Yeah. And so
Gerard was awfully upset. I mean, I was as well, but he had a whole other level to it.
That's what started the fight after. No. Yeah, wait. Then we went back to the...
We went to the Wandering Point.
Yeah, you guys
And
Wandering
we
Point.
were like, there's all this tension. We need to talk it out.
Yeah, I think at that point things had gotten really tense between
that's where
everyone, and so then that made the second visit that much more crazy.
And we went to the barber, and then...
Yeah. Oh well, you guys were on your way to Bell's Forge, because that's what the Demon Zephyr had gotten you, was a personal
Oh yeah,
invitation to Bell's Forge, who is the previous Archdevil of Avernus. And you guys bumped into the Wandering Emporium again, which was the crazy time.
We got Windbreaker, which actually wasn't Gerard's sword. So Ayana thinks she's using her dad's sword, but she's
I mean, it was his sword for a minute.
It was Gerard's sword.
Oh yeah, it
He's the
was.
one who bought it. He gave it to Merrick, and then Merrick gave it back.
And then Merrick gave it back. Okay, I remembered
Correct.
Merrick using it. Sorry.
So yeah, they you guys went to the Wandering Emporium. You guys got Windbreaker and Momnir, which was basically Mjolnir, but with the personality of a soccer mom.
Yeah.
Tolnak planted a bean and got Phil the Treant, which we briefly saw in Tyranny of Dragons in the Misty Forest.
I will say, wasn't planned at all. I legitimately rolled for it.
I love it.
He absolutely rolled for it, and absolutely it didn't come up chaotic evil, and so it was just like.
No, I think he meant. I think he
I
meant.
I don't know.
Tyranny of Dragons.
I don't know anyone here,
Not again.
so I'll
So,
just
what
with you, I guess.
What I think he meant was that.
In Tyranny of Dragons,
in
I
Tyranny
actually
of
rolled for
Dragons.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't choose that.
He
to
didn't
happen.
choose for Phil to appear.
Come back.
Right,
He rolled
but
it. That's
In the
what he
Misty
was
Forest.
meaning when he said that he
Out
rolled
of
it.
all the treants, it had to be Phil twice.
I was like, what's going on?
Not
Phil,
again.
Phil, by the way, is short for chlorophyll. He was a treant with the name chlorophyll, but
Do
he
you
went
want me
by
to bring
Phil.
that picture up?
Yes, of course. Briefly, there was Phyllis.
That was at the
That was
very.
later.
Yeah.
That was very end.
Um,
Phil was my
yeah.
son.
I have a grandson.
I have a grandson. And so then Gerard and Tolnak went to go talk to Bernie the Barber, who is secretly a ancient copper dragon.
Who was Bernice?
Who was Bernice from Tyranny of Dragons.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection until just now. Thanks.
I changed the name just to not be like, oh, that's super obvious for
Yeah.
you guys in the session 0.
But
I mean, it would have only been super obvious to me because
Yeah, I don't
I kept
remember.
it to myself, who hired me. But that's okay.
I mean, like, Arthur and Luca met Bernice.
Oh, did they? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was our session 0.
I missed that part.
That was our session 0, Sawyer.
That was session
All
0.
he remembers
that was,
is anyways. Then she shook this flower.
that was 20 weeks ago. The only thing I remember about session 0 is shaking the flower. That's it.
But
Like a euphemism.
we couldn't.
That's what.
We couldn't. Kaylin and Merrick were
Right.
evil at that point, so they couldn't. She kicked them out,
So
and
yeah,
Kaylin was pissed.
Well, yeah, that was like heightened paranoia and.
Bernie had told Tolnak and Gerard to gather their party because she was going to do some crazy stuff. And when the party got there, she saw Phil and was like, okay, I can't take you. You're too big. And Merrick and Kaylin were both alignment evil, and so they couldn't come either. So Bernie took Fnipper, Gerard, Lulu, Zach, and Tolnak to go actually visit the court of Bahamut because the party had given Archon an orb of dragonkind, which is a very big artifact. It's a huge artifact. And so they were worried about potential ramifications with Tiamat, and so she took the party with her to go talk to Bahamut, which was sort of where, by this time, I had asked Austin if he was okay with running Tyranny of Dragons after Descent into Avernus. And so this was where our first inkling of potentially having the games happen in the same universe was because Bahamut's thing was basically giving the party a warning that the events of Tyranny of Dragons was coming. This is a very big event that you guys have just created and could potentially have devastating ramifications in the future.
This was also the moment that once they were also connected, I was like, "Hey, can Gerard be my dad?"
Yeah.
Well, that
And
was
so-
after Gerard revealed what happened.
I guess, yeah. which is later this same session.
And so after this, the party decided, hey, let's have a talk, where everybody was sort of talking about their feelings and how it was going. But Merrick, who was evil, wanted more power from Tiamat. He felt he had more to offer from Tiamat. And so he stole the team's Devil's Ride, basically a motorcycle, to go visit Archon to talk with Archon more about potentially having more power. And so a really intense party fight happened afterwards with some pretty excellent spell casting done by Brando.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Brando Misty stepped and held person. It was
Or
really good.
Dimension Door.
Dimension Door, held person.
Yeah, that was his thing. Was he was
He was
able
just
to
trying to immobilize him.
stop Merrick.
Yeah,
Which if
without
he
him, I
hadn't
don't
that,
think
turn,
That would have been it.
that would have been it.
Yeah.
Merrick would have been gone.
would
Because
not have-
that Devil's Ride moves like 500 feet around.
It moves
It was-
way faster than the Demon Grinder and any of us could go. So
Yeah, Lulu and I were catching up, but falling behind because I had a speed of.
You were chasing him, but you were falling behind.
I had a speed of like 100. No, she had a speed of 160. I had a speed of 120.
No, Lulu only had 120.
Oh, then I had 160. Is it air elemental? Is it 80?
It only has it was either an 80 or a 120.
Anyway, but yeah, we were.
So yeah, total it was like 240, 180.
But we were still falling
But
behind.
yeah, Merrick had a head start on you and was able to just punch it real hard. And so yeah, he was barely outrunning you guys.
I love how we're talking about this over the picture of Tolnak.
I know, it's so happy.
Hugging
Put
each other.
the chaos picture in.
The chaos picture is in.
Well, yeah, I
called
was
insane.
waiting for. I was wanting to see if you wanted to.
Yeah, just put it up.
So, and then Tolnak was casting message to Merrick and being like, dude, come back, right? That's what you were doing then?
yeah, I was like, hey, come back. I've got things to discuss. Don't leave us.
And Gerard was like, y'all are being dumb.
Yeah,
I
and
was trying to appeal to his sense of like crewmanship, and that wasn't working.
Yeah.
yeah. Merrick was starting to come back, and then Kaelin, in a fit of rage, impulse cast Shatter at Merrick because he was upset, which one pissed Merrick off, and so Merrick charged at Kaelin to fight Kaelin, which
Because of his cursed sword that he had.
right, his cursed sword was like you have to fight Kaelin because Kaelin hurts you.
Yeah, anything that hurts you, you kill it till it's dead.
Which, not gonna lie, Kaelin would have absolutely lost that fight.
I almost killed both of them. What are you talking about?
But
I came back and like wailed on them
Well,
until
sure, but, like,
I knocked
you
Merrick unconscious, and Kaelin was about to be knocked unconscious
well,
when I saw Lulu.
that was
down.
also because Merrick had also taken like 66 points of skid mark damage.
Yeah.
Because
But I still did
against
it.
skid mark, that's
Gross.
But like, yeah, because he had horrible road burn because he got paralyzed and then fell off this motorbike going
Like
70
80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, had some pretty terrible road burn. But from the shatter that Kaelin cast, it killed Lulu. And so some pretty intense role playing later. Tolnak tried his best to revive Lulu, but was just barely too late to save Lulu. So, yeah, some really intense role playing happened. That was my favorite part of Descent into Avernus.
That was an
too.
intense session.
Um,
And that's the moment Fnipper failed their last save.
because
and went evil.
this was definitely not in the module. The module sort of assumes that Lulu's going to stay alive until the end. The module has a backup for that, but it assumes she's going to stay alive through the whole thing. But killing the party heartbeat, it was a really what's the word I'm looking for? Traumatic experience for the party. Austin, through the brilliance of the ceremony spell, was able to restore Kaelin and Merrick's original alignment, so they weren't evil anymore. Because the ceremony, what happened was Kaelin basically got confronted by someone from his past who told him to get over himself. He's got a new party now and needs to focus on making sure that they're okay. And Merrick was a spirit, was a Path of the Spirit Totem barbarian, Path of the Totem Warrior barbarian, and so he was actually talked to by his totem. Like a shark appeared, an ethereal shark appeared, and talked to him and was like, "Hey, what you did was stupid. I can help you come back from it, but you need to accept the help." And so basically the ceremony spell severed his attunement with the Orb of Dragonkind, and restored his alignment. And then actually resulted in Merrick multiclassing into Paladin, Oath of the Ancients, which was a super bummer because like it happened like a week before Oath of Oath of the Open Sea came out, from CR, from Critical Role, which would have fit Merrick way better than Oath of the Ancients. But yeah, they eventually did that. Gerard went and prayed to Bahamut to try and see if there was some way that Lulu could come back because he knew that the party needed Lulu. And Bahamut was like, "I'm sorry, I can't send Lulu back." And Lulu was there with Bahamut because Lulu had grown close to Bahamut when they were in his court. But basically, Bahamut became Gerard's new deity. Gerard, because the way that paladins work, they don't explicitly need a god to be the source of their abilities like clerics do, but they can. And so Bahamut sort of bestowed Gerard this ability and granted him a Holy Avenger, which is like the magic item you want if you're a paladin. It's a super awesome longsword stuff. So the party, with newfound determination, headed to Bell's Forge. They had a brief funeral for Lulu. I believe they cremated Lulu.
Except for her tusk.
Except for her tusk. Fnipper took a tusk and wore it around their neck. But after that, the party...
On the way to Bell's Forge, we had the Shield of the Hidden Lord.
Right! Yes!
Gargoth had an interesting request.
Yeah, so in the module, you guys get access to a magic item, a sentient shield, that is possessed by the spirit of, or not possessed by the spirit, but is inhabited by a trapped pit fiend, who basically should spend the whole campaign trying to twist whoever wields it into doing terrible things, because it's a pit fiend, lol. But after seeing the redemption of Merrick and Kaelin, Gargoth actually, and having centuries to stew in this shield, was like, "Hey, I know I'm a devil, but do you think there's any redemption that could come in it for me?" Because at this point, Tolnak had attuned to the shield.
I had 4 voices in my head. It was wild.
Yeah, he had his voice, Torm, Dramsis, the map, and
Momnir and the shield.
Momnir and the shield. So, yeah, Tolnak was basically insane. And so he performed the ceremony spell on the shield and managed to make the absolutely insane DC to turn the Shield of the Hidden Lord into the Shield of the Redeemed Lord, where basically it turned Dramsis into a Planetar, which is sort of the Pit Fiend equivalent, or close to Pit Fiend equivalent, of angels. I was not comfortable putting a Solar in the shield because that's a CR 22 creature. I'm not doing that.
Solar is a little wild.
Plus, I think in the monster manual it states that there are canonically only like 24 Solars in existence.
Yeah.
They're basically the archangels of just like Saint Michael or Michael and stuff. They're big dudes. I'm not giving you a CR22 shield, bro. Not doing it.
Should. Next time.
I gave you a dragon later.
Listen, Buckaroo. I let you turn into an angel.
I let you turn into a dragon.
Don't worry about it. So you guys went and talked to Belle, and then...
Then, oh, but she's not here. Let's talk about I want it all to end while she's not here.
Well, that happens after. That happens on the
What
return.
happens after the Seabricks, the meeting
The
Smiley?
Oh,
yeah,
my
happens
gosh, we
after
still
the-
got so much more, guys.
Yeah,
We gotta start.
Not really. We're almost there.
Almost. Only a couple more
A
things.
little bit, though.
Yeah, you guys went and handled with the Sibriix, which is grotesque, and really messed up Gerard.
Oh,
It
yeah.
turned his hands and feet backwards, turned his skin red and his eyes black. He couldn't move.
Well, he could. It was just like
He was crawling on the ground.
yeah.
I thought he had like exhaustion points or something.
Well,
Oh, he did as well.
yeah, but he only had like 4. Speed
doesn't
is
that
speed
mean-
is 0 at 5.
Oh, 5. Okay.
What she means by reversing his feet and hands is reversed it. His arms became his legs, and his legs became his arms. And so, yeah, that was Gerard was straight up not having a good time after the Sibriix.
We fixed him slowly.
Yeah, we fixed him.
Yeah.
It just only took a couple days of him just sleeping in the demon grinder.
More fetch questing later. After the wrecked flying fortress and Smiler.
Was the green hag before or after I want it all to end? It was after, wasn't it?
It was after.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. After the another great fetch quest, as most campaigns are, is just fetch quest. They were on their way back to Bell's Forge when Fnipper was like, "I want to pull over." And so
Let's look at these ruins, guys. And everyone was like, "No, we're not going to stop and look at these ruins."
yeah, and so
I wild shaped into a cat
Bad
on
idea.
Kaylin's lap and was like,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wasn't it? It was Kaylin who was driving, right? And so.
"Yep," because Gerard couldn't because his hands and feet were backwards.
Yeah.
And I was
Let me bring
guiding.
that picture up.
or he was still recovering from it because he was on like his last leg of
Yeah,
recovering from
he
it.
wasn't back to normal.
There you
for
go,
a while.
guys.
Like,
Nightmare
he was
fuel.
exhausted.
That
Oh,
is-
yeah.
that is definite nightmare fuel. Man, Meredith, I don't know what you were thinking when you drew that.
I didn't do that. Fnipper did that.
His arms kind of look like chicken wings.
It's uncomfy.
Why is it
I mean, that's
doubling
the
like
expression
that?
I would make if they
I
just.
don't know, but that's even more terrifying.
It's kind of
More
army.
terrifying.
Gerard.
I can't undo it. It's stuck like that.
So the party stopped off at these ruins. Zach, Fnipper, and Gerard got off. I think Zach and Fnipper got off to go explore the ruins.
Yeah, and Gerard's like, "You guys are gonna die."
And Gerard chased after them to, be a chaperone. And that's when he was confronted by Zegdron. Zegdron magically created sort of like a demi-plane arena for them to throw down in, where Gerard did succeed in killing Zegdron, but in the process, lost an arm and was bleeding out, and it was
that like 1 hit point in the end?
yeah, he was rough.
I thought he was unconscious.
He basically was, yeah. I mean, he had a few hit points,
Oh, he did.
but
Okay.
he was bleeding out, so we
Yeah.
just flavored it as he dropped to 0 hit points because he was bleeding out.
Yeah.
Uh,
He has freaking arm ripped off.
yeah. And he had already burned through all of his
Yeah.
healing hands in the middle of a fight to try and keep him alive. So after that,
Then we were on our. Then
That-
Tolnak had the map, and he's like, "Hey, what's this one-eyed domain?"
well,
I just guided you guys there
yeah,
without telling
Kaelin
you
had
where we were going.
pointed out where Sikar's was.
Oh, okay.
Because after the Qualgeth fight, on the map, Kaelin could see Sikar's lair.
Yeah.
Sikar's had pinged on the map, "Hey,
Yeah.
come find me." But Tolnak knew that Kaelin didn't want to, but Tolnak was like, "Lol, get wrecked,"
Okay,
and
yeah.
led them there anyways because Bell's Forge is in a mountain, and so was Sikar's lair.
Poor Kaylin. It was a day of just like backseat drivers.
And so, yeah, they went into Sikar's lair and were oddly undisturbed. Like, they walked through
A ton of undead.
a ton of undead, and these undead did nothing. They just sort of stared at the party. Didn't do
Except they didn't look like undead. They looked
No,
like
but they got pinged as undead.
they pinged as undead, but they didn't look.
Look
yes,
normal.
yeah, and that was because they were under Sikar's spell
Yeah.
and were dead.
Yeah.
Like they had just been animated basically for so long that they had starved to death a long time ago.
They had forgotten they were dead.
And they had forgotten they were dead and stuff. After some puzzle stuff later, not unakin to the sundial, the sort of trying to find which door was right and stuff, you guys finally made it into Sakars's chamber, where I was pretty proud of the revealing that Sakars was not actually a devil at all. He was a beholder who had managed to make it to the Nine Hells and sort of begun to make a name for himself, sort of like a crime lord type thing, sort of like the mafia.
Am I bringing that picture up now?
Yeah, sure. And so Sakars
Ugh.
was like, hey, I'm willing to give you whatever you want, but I just want you to kill me. And for some freaking reason,
Okay, let me explain what the
Yes,
thought
please.
process was. Okay, so for Ashley, I realized I should have talked this out with like the group to figure out what we want. Cause I don't know what we want. I don't know what's. Cause
Well, that
like,
was the thing, is the Kars did not like
Kars
any of
wouldn't
us
let you.
walking with you.
well,
he-
right? No,
he
I mean
specifically
like
said-
set before the session before. Like I feel like in between sessions, I should have talked to you guys about like what could we need that would help us.
I'm very anti-metagaming, so I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah.
But even then, Kaylin could have thought of something better than I just want it all to end.
Well,
A-
so the thing
Ashley
was.
didn't know we were going there the session prior. You didn't
Yeah.
know until we
Oh.
were there.
yeah,
That's fair.
Tolnak,
But-
Austin texted me and said, I want to guide us to Sakars's lair.
But
And so he
but
did.
see the.
It's okay, Ashley. We still love you, but this moment will live on forever.
Well,
For DM perspective, Sakars was borderline granting Kaylin a wish spell. Because
well,
everyone
okay,
else
I
had,
didn't know
had
that.
somewhat gotten cool stuff.
I didn't know that, and so it felt like it all felt like a trap, you know, and
But, I
so
mean, he's not going to tell you wish for whatever you want. He's
He did say that. Basically,
or-
he said, I will give you whatever you want.
right.
No deal was
But-
required.
I have given you guys numerous wishes and none of you guys have taken them. I don't like this.
What are you talking about?
what are you talking
They're
about?
freely
Zotor?
offered wishes. And you guys said nope.
Zotor totally took the wish. What are you talking about?
I have.
Oh, good. I need to talk to you about that then.
Yeah, I need to.
Anyway, later.
I'm still contemplating what he wants to do.
Anyway.
But anyway, so during the what was it that Tolnak did to change his alignment? What was that called again?
Ceremony.
During the ceremony, like sure it was a get over yourself talk, but Kaylin misinterpreted it as like what happened in the past is still sort of your fault, and you need to make sure that never happens again. And like up to this point, just the pressure that he was putting on himself to make sure that stuff like that didn't happen again was just starting to get to him, to where he was like, I can't do it. There's just no way that I can make sure that that doesn't happen again. And I can't really live with this pressure that I'm putting on myself anymore. And so that's what led to this was just like I have all of this pressure that I've put on myself. Like he knew that no one else was trying to put the pressure on him. It was just himself. But he couldn't live up to the standards that he was wanting from himself, and he felt like that there was really no escape from it. And so he wanted it to end.
Tolnak had a thought about it. He wrote that Kaylin fell. It's what he wanted, to end it all. But I know hell does that to people. Kaylin didn't want death. He wanted peace. And I want Kaylin to see it. This is where Smiler is where Tolnak started to like Kaylin a bit. Actually, it was the fall is where he started to like her. Like him.
But yeah, so Kaylin wished for it all to end, and so Sakaris was like,
So there was
and
this.
just death raid Kaylin to death.
Yeah,
He
there
just
was-
death raided Kaylin.
There was a fight, and yeah, it was basically like, I just want it all to end. Okay, death ray, and Kaylin just shocked Pikachu face. Yeah, like I didn't even know that it was a death ray, so I was like, all right, so you need me to roll for the death saving throw, right? And he's like, nope,
Nope, you're dead.
You're dead. And I was like,
You're-
oh,
You are so lucky
Oh.
it wasn't the disintegration ray. Because if it
Yeah.
was the disintegration ray, that's it.
yeah,
Raise dead, resurrection, revivify does not fix at not having a body. Only true resurrection fixes that,
Yeah.
which is a next level spell.
but yeah, so
yeah, that would have been it for Kaylin.
But eventually we did end up killing him, or they did end up killing
Zach,
him.
Zach killed Sakaris.
And he turned in. What did he turn into again?
He turned into a death
Death
tyrant.
A
Tyrant.
death tyrant.
Which
Yeah,
is
basically
basically
a lich. It's a beholder lich, basically.
Yeah. Which is what Sakaris wanted. Sakaris knew that in order to become a death tyrant, he had to die. And so he wanted the party to kill him so that he could become a death tyrant. And he was like, all right, you fulfilled my end of the bargain. You have 5 minutes to leave, or I kill you. So, yeah, the party just sort of wrapped up and left.
Bye.
Yeah.
And so by this point, you guys were on the home stretch.
Yes.
You guys went and visited Belle.
And I want to say, to Kaylin's credit, after he came back from that death, he finally understood what was going on with what happened in the ceremony. Oh, it's not actually my fault. And I shouldn't be expecting all of these huge promises I'm forcing on myself. So now I just need to let go of my past and just move forward. Basically, I need to get over myself. So to his credit, he got there. It just took a little bit.
It just took dying. You know.
It took time. No big deal.
Just a minor feat of dying.
Just a little bit.
It's really not that minor of a feat. It's the coming back bit.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for the. Oh, there. I have.
You guys went and visited Belle. And Belle revealed the location of the Citadel
Yeah, we can.
that you guys needed.
We don't want to get into too much just plot stuff, though.
Yeah. So did that, and then some stuff happened. That
That's super vague. On the other hand,
you tracked that. You got to the Citadel
I think
and fought through it.
Didn't beans
Yeah.
happen at some point? After
oh yeah,
Walk
we got
away,
the we planted the final bean.
That was
And
outside
there
of
was,
the flying fortress.
Mummy
Mummy
Lord Pyramid appeared, and we totally one-shotted it. And then
our reward was more beans.
our reward was more beans. Yep.
Still triggered about it.
Nipper loves beans. Is
So-
there beans?
Beans. So,
The things we got on repeat throughout the campaign.
yeah, you guys got to the Citadel, fought through it, and it was revealed that Lulu was still alive. Lulu had been resurrected in the Citadel, so you guys recovered Lulu and had some dreamscaping stuff where Zach almost one-shotted himself.
Oh yeah, wasn't that those were the patches?
Guards.
Or the cards?
It was the guards.
Oh, the guards.
Guard.
No,
Oh,
remember
that was-
Lulu punished him for every
That-
person he hurt, her innocent
Right.
person he hurt,
And
and he killed 6 innocent people, so he
Eh.
took 6 points of exhaustion.
No, he took 5.
Oh, 5, sorry.
6 is outright death.
I thought 7's outright death.
6 is death.
Okay, he took 5.
And so basically he just collapsed because that's disadvantage on ability checks, attack rolls and saving throws, your speed is 0, your hit point maximum is halved.
He was extra squishy.
Yeah, it was bad.
He was jello.
But luckily he had that potion of vitality And so he just recovered all 5 immediately because it was just removed. The potion of vitality just removes all levels of exhaustion.
When did he take that?
It was his gift
Oh.
he was given from Bahamut.
Oh, okay. I'm like, for the rest of that fight, we had to like drag him around, and then he just sat on top of the statue.
It was the rest of it was after that fight in the the short rest you had before the big bad showed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so after that, Merrick reclaimed the Sword of Zerial
Yes.
and became Zarek, where
Effectively, Merrick died and Zarek was born.
correct. Zarek was basically a combination of Zerial and Merrick.
A
And
lawful good Merrick.
yeah, and that was actually a pretty cool moment because everyone was debating who should go get the sword, and then Merrick was just like, "I just go grab the sword," and he was really like the only person capable of it because Gerard died, quote unquote died. He fake died, but that made him unworthy of the sword. Kaelin wasn't going to pull it.
That was too small.
Fnipper, well, you could have.
It was a great sword.
It was a long sword.
Oh, I thought it was a great sword. Okay.
And Tolnak still had his pact with Ramses.
Yeah, Tolnak didn't have a soul to do it.
Right. And so Merrick was about the only. It was either him.
We all had packs.
Or Kaelin who could. It was either him or Kaelin.
And to be perfectly honest, for Kaelin, he was borderline like, let's just kill her, because like that's just one of the options, right? Is kill her or take the sword.
Yeah, Fnipper would have. Yeah, it would have upset Lulu. Fnipper would have
which
killed
I
you.
also don't quite get the whole thing. After Kaelin's whole redemption arc, just decides let's just kill Zerial.
Well, because Gerard died in front of him, and that pissed him off, and so he was like this close to being like, maybe we'd be better off with her dead.
Right, but how is that Zerial's fault?
Yeah, Zerial didn't kill Gerard.
Well,
Zerial had zero to do with you guys almost dying.
But see,
she saved us in the dream.
Yeah, she saved you guys.
Yeah, but like the timing, I'm not trying to. I feel like you guys are like.
I just don't understand Kaelin's thought process.
Well,
like
so it was the timing. Like it was sort of like, why didn't you come here sooner? Because otherwise, then Gerard would have been alive. Because like we didn't know for sure that it was something that we could just snap out of, and so it felt pretty final. At least to Caleb's understanding that like this is Kaelin, sorry. It's one of those KC sounding names.
I know you like Caleb at all.
Shush. But yeah, it felt like he didn't know for sure that they were just gonna be all right at the end of this. And
do we ever really know that though? It's okay.
Well,
life happens. We all die eventually.
Well,
except
right,
for Fnipper.
But I'm saying what I'm saying is that he thought that it was permanent. And just when he was like, okay, I'm gonna rededicate myself, but in a new way to make sure that everyone that I can do what I can to help everyone. And then Gerard dies, and then Zerial is there. Like, it was just sort of why weren't you here earlier? You could have saved Gerard if you were here earlier.
Oh man, bummer. The Archangel didn't show up in time.
Okay, Sawyer. I'm not saying that it's rational. I'm just saying that that's what was going on through his head.
Thank you for explaining. Let's move on. So, actually from here is pretty quick, right?
You guys
went to Zerial.
Freaking Zarek rolled a nat 20 on his persuasion check, and so she's like, cool, I'm good now.
Yeah, and so it's a big, beefy persuasion check to try and persuade Zerial because Zerial in lore used to be an angel. She was a very big angel of the heavens. But when the heavens basically refused to do anything about the Blood War, she stormed into Avernus to try and end it. Obviously got the crap beat out of her.
Yeah, effectively lost.
Yeah, and so Asmodeus, the ruler of the Nine Hells, was like, hey, I like your gusto, though. Become the new archdevil of Avernus and just fight forever. And so she was like, okay. But Lulu, knew Zerial. And so, you guys had Lulu, and you guys had the sort of Zerial. And so you guys effectively persuaded Zerial to once again take up the sword and become an angel again, fully redeeming herself. And so a whole bunch of chaos later in Elturel and all that.
More beans.
You guys got Phyllis,
Yeah.
which was female Phil. But yeah, you guys made it back to material plane.
We restored all of Zach's intelligence
Oh,
by
right.
the magic of the
Okay.
beans.
Gosh.
So
The beans.
Zach, by killing Sikaris, was granted the arcane secrets by being given a deck of many things,
Yeah.
which, if you don't know, is the most chaotic magic item ever. It's the bag of beans on crack, basically.
With
Ta-da.
just higher possibilities of good things happening, but the bad things are
Yeah, but also
real
way
bad.
worse stuff. And so, yeah, it was like Brando was like, all right, I pull a card. And he pulled a card that was just like, all right, you level up, or you can draw 2 more cards. And he was just like, I'm going to draw 2 more cards. And so, he lost all the non-magical stuff in their bag of holding.
All the drawing.
His
That's why they
his
don't have-
intelligence was reduced by 5. He got to keep, though.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he got really messed up by this deck of many things.
But by the magic of the beans and some magical eggs that restored his
He restored his intelligence.
and everything was okay.
But yeah, by removing Zerial from power, Tolnak succeeded in his end of the bargain and was freed from his deal. So Tolnak now lives in Elturel. There is a happy Tolnak picture, by the way.
He got a fancy hammer from Zerial because he gave his hammer to Phil and sent him back where he came from.
Back to the
I
Feywild.
forgot you got a fancy hammer.
I got a fancy hammer that's really cool, but not party friendly at all.
No,
Uh-oh.
but Matalock is pretty dangerous.
Oh yeah, it was her demon or devil weapon, right?
Hers.
Not even hers technically.
Yeah, it was Kostchay's, who is a demon lord. It was
Basically,
Kostchay.
the
He was using.
Lord of Giants, Demon Lord of Giants.
So yeah, Tolnak now lives in Elturel as a part of the Council of Elturel and helps run it and stuff. Gerard sort of retired for a bit.
He retired for a bit. His wife died, and then basically was like, "All right, I'm gonna go and paladin again." Cause,
You like your little man bun?
yeah, I mean, he had it in Avernus. It was basically his haircut.
Had Iana, and then had to go do his thing again. Is that Fnipper?
Yeah, Fnipper came down from Mount Celestia several times to just spy on people.
I just realized that because I was like, when I first saw this picture, I was like, why is there a snail?
Yeah, Fnipper
What's
is
the
spying on
importance of
people.
the snail? Zach went and got his tower. Kaylin retired.
Yes.
Just
He.
finally settled down. Kaylin said he was done
Yep.
with the adventure in life. Became a cobbler.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is my other favorite part. When before it like fade to credits kind of thing, Kaylin had come out to the group. He admitted that like, yeah, I'm gay. And I still remember Zach being like, yeah, didn't we all know that?
Yeah, we all kind of assumed that.
And just Kayla goes just standing there like, what? I just bore my soul to all of you, and you already knew.
It's okay, we know.
Like, thought it was gonna be this big, crazy, uh.
Wearing all
reveal.
black is the same as wearing a rainbow.
Okay. But yeah, he retired. Eventually,
then-
found out that being a cobbler was for him, and that's how he found the man of his life.
Then Zarek, having actually been attuned to the sword of Zariel, was a celestial now. He wasn't, really destined for the material plane. And so Zariel, after, returning Elturel to the material plane, said, hey, you should come with me and be my number 2 in heavens and help me, sort of raise the armies and fight the good fight. And then Zariel turned to Fnipper and was like, hey, you were a good friend to Lulu, who is an old friend of Zariel's, and was like, you protected her when I couldn't. Come with me too. Just come chill with us on Mount Celestia. You don't have to be a warrior person, but you've saved my friend, so come be with us up there. And so Fnipper went up, and before Zariel left, she handed Gerard a feather from her wing, and said, "Hey, if you ever need my help, hold this feather and call my name, and I will come help you for as long as I can." So Gerard's basically got Zariel as a booty call.
One-time booty call.
One-time booty call.
Plot twist. Zariel's my mom. How did I become a half-orc?
What?
Who knows?
That's insane. Okay.
What if Gerard did smash Zariel, though?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think Gerard has encountered a dire enough situation to call Zariel.
No, he hasn't. But
Just
like,
give it like 3 weeks.
He texts Zariel, "Hey, you up?"
You up? You out? You out?
And then there was some sort of post-credits shenanigans of Dramsis being on the throne of Avernus, sort of fiddling with Tolnak's soul coin, as sort of having Tolnak as a booty call for if things ever go really terribly in Avernus. Dramsis knows who to call.
Hey, you up?
Hey, you up?
You.
And then Archon was finally able to weaken some of Zariel's shackles and sort of free Tiamat from her prison, which is what has sort of caused the events of Tyranny of Dragons.
And now you're all caught up.
I guess another big thing was by redeeming Zariel, that shattered all of her contracts, because devils, that's the big distinction between devils and demons. Devils make contracts and are law-abiding to those contracts. Demons could care less and will kill you. And so by shattering all of Zariel's contracts, that potentially has some pretty serious ramifications across the multiverse. And so what we're sort of doing with our sort of campaign universe is the potential ramifications of that. So we have Tyranny of Dragons.
And then stuff will happen after that.
And then we've got, I think...
Are you going to say it?
We're planning for 2 more campaigns.
Yeah.
One, I guess I could just say that because it's like 3 weeks out. We're going to do Storm King's Thunder after Tyranny of Dragons, which canonically from Wizards happens immediately after Tyranny of Dragons. So it makes sense. And then we don't know what we're going to do for the final campaign yet. But
stay tuned.
But yeah, that will conclude the Zariel arc of the Magic and Mischief gaming universe.
Oh, no worries, Deborah, dude. We're glad that you were able to be here for most of it.
Yeah, well, and we're basically done.
Yeah.
This is
basically
so-
all of it.
And that's all we have to say about that. Goodbye.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's end of stream.
So yeah, thank you all for coming. We'll post this on YouTube for if anybody walked in halfway and didn't know what was going on. Just sort of as a catch up thing. But yeah, we've got this, and then we're doing Tyranny of Dragons, and then we'll do Storm King's Thunder, and one final hurrah. Then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
Bye.
thanks everyone for coming. We'll everyone have a safe weekend, have a safe week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.